ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Bill Harmer. I'm the Executive Director of the Westport Library. It's great to see all of you here tonight. My staff will be upset with me if I don't do a quick housekeeping item and let you know that we have books for sale tonight for those of you that don't own a copy of Bettyville. And Mr. Hodgman is gracious enough to stick around afterwards to sign copies for you. So thank you for coming out and supporting the Westport Library. We are so lucky and fortunate to be able to host fantastic events like this and bring wonderful authors to our community. If you would please take a moment to silence your cell phones while I tell you a little something about tonight's program and our guest speaker, George Hodgman. Also, I want to remind everyone that tonight's program is being streamed on Facebook Live for those who are watching from home. 2017 marks the 14th year that Westporters have gathered together to read a single book. And we want to give special thanks to Jerry A. Tishman, longtime supporter of the Westport Library. Through his estate, he pledged a multi-year grant to support the library and enable us to continue Westport Reads for many years to come. The library is grateful to Jerry, not only for his friendship, but his support. Although the library may not be the official organizer, we have partners that we work with. This Westport Reads program is a collaboration with our community partners, and other programs and events will be taking place this month at locations around town, hosted by many other organizations, including the Saugatuck Congregational Church, our excellent partner for tonight. So if we could just get a quick round of applause for that. In selecting George Hodgman's Bettyville, we have read a memoir possessing all of the essential elements of a powerful community read. At the center of the book is 91-year-old spirited Betty, a woman of her own time, a small-town wife and mother who nevertheless chafed at her limitations, who hated bad hairdressers, baking cookies, and gossip, but who loved roses, driving fast, and speaking her mind with sharp directness, especially when it came to her only son. Betty and George were often in cahoots and often at loggerheads, locked in battle, but sworn allies as well. Their story is bracing, honest, and often laugh-out-loud hilarious. Bettyville is a warm, funny book about what it means to care for an older parent, to come home to small-town America, and to have complicated relationships with the people around you. But above all, it's a book about families, how families shape us, frustrate us, and often give us the strength when we least expect it and need it most. George Hodgman is by no means a newcomer to the literary world. He is a seasoned and talented book and magazine editor who has worked at Simon & Schuster, Vanity Fair, and Talk Magazine. His writing has appeared in Entertainment Weekly, Interview, W, Harper's Bazaar, among many other publications. And it is our honor to have him here with us tonight in Westport. Would you please give a warm welcome to our esteemed guest, George Hodgman.
I'm esteemed and I'm seasoned. It sounds like I should go in a crock pot. Thank you. It is always it's a pleasure to be a part of an event like this. The One Reads, the community reads. And it's a great pleasure to, feel the support of the book that you get from the audience, but particularly from the staff and the board and all the people who have gathered together to, you know, make this experience, and I really, really appreciate it. So here's to you, folks. And, you know, I love libraries. I've always loved libraries. I hung out with them I hung out with them. But, you know, from the time I was a little kid, I loved to go to the library. It was where I discovered the Sunday New York Times, which was where I discovered Broadway and the movies. And I would also read the New York Times Book Review, which changed so much for me. And you know, I would go to the librarian and try to get her to send away for the books I would read about in the New York Times Book Review. And she would say, you know, why don't you stick to the children's section? I would say, I have to read Valley of the Dolls for class. So, thank you for supporting libraries. Thank you, librarians and administrators, for what you do for writers and for your communities. You know, thank you to everyone, readers, writers, everyone who takes us out of ourselves and allows us to experience the community of books like you all have had in your program here. It is important, it is essential, it is crucial for us all to have these nurturing community activities around reading, writing, the arts at a moment when our culture is so polarized. And it's a way that we can talk about so many things. It's a way that we can come together. You know, it's a hard time for culture of all sorts. Today we found out that we are probably going to lose the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and we may, you know, National Public Radio and public broadcasting may be privatized. In the place in the world where I come from, there may be fewer schools, and I fear that the libraries in these little towns, unlike Westport, will be threatened. And in the next few years, you know, all the little Georges to be may not have libraries to go to. And in years to come, there may be a lot fewer Bettyvilles. So that's my little political moment. And you won't have to hear anything more out of that, but I really, you know, I just appreciate what libraries do and the people who work in them. And I think that I never really thought I'd write a memoir, but I was introduced to memoir when I was 16 years old. And I lived in this town that was really white and was not diverse in any way. But I got my driver's license at 16, and I saw in the newspaper that at Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, which is 50 miles away, Maya Angelou was going to speak. And I had seen her like on a talk show or something, and I liked her scarves, you know. I hadn't really read her books, so I got myself. My first drive, you know, by myself was to go to Stevens College and see Maya Angelou. And the topic was woman as a proud declaration. And there I was. But I was kind of like trying to, she was stunning, she was a stunning speaker, and she was so inspiring. And her book was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, that took me into the life of an African-American young woman living in Stamps, Arkansas, and it was really an important moment for me in terms of learning what books could do, and I was just turned on. I mean, it was the only way I can tell you I was very turned on. I was just excited, and I wanted to be Maya Angelou's best friend, and I wanted her to take me back to California, and we could live in the wine country where she did, And at some moment, it was over, and she would always be bored out. But Maya realized that she had lost her glasses, and so I thought, I'm going to find Maya Angelou's glasses, and we are going to be really good friends forever, probably. And so I looked around, and I found the glasses. And for 2 or 3 minutes, I turned around and I held them like this, and I put on Maya Angelou's glasses. And so for a little bit of time, I saw the world through Maya Angelou. Thank you for looking at the world through my glasses. And memoir I love because it takes you around the world. It takes you inside somebody. And memoir it's not, you don't want to bore the socks off somebody, but it's not primarily a narrative experience, I don't think. It's not, what I think of it as it's a relationship. It's about a relationship between the writer and the reader. And making a relationship involves being really truthful, which is not the most comfortable thing for most writers. And so you have to really negotiate. There's a negotiation that takes place with yourself about what you want to say and what you feel comfortable saying, but also really what you feel comfortable, saying about other people. And so a lot of people say, well, why did you end the book where you did? And I ended the book because I really didn't want to show my mother when she was really, really sick, because I thought that was private. And if my mother had read the book, she would have thought of a lot of other things were private. I tried my best to protect her a little, and to not, I wanted to be absolutely true to the challenge she was facing, but I also didn't want to do something that she would have found embarrassing. So I did everything that I would find embarrassing. And that's, you sort of, you don't want to do to anybody else what you're not willing to do to yourself as a memoir writer. And so that's the way it worked. I did not go back home to write a memoir for that express, that was not my thinking. I went home for a birthday party, for my mother's birthday party, and my mother, as was her wont, I found out was hiding something, and the housekeeper said that my mother had lost her driver's license, and she had had a little bang up at the bridge club, and she had come home in the police car, and she lost her driver's license. She hadn't told me, and so she really couldn't go anywhere. You know, she couldn't even, she couldn't go to the grocery store, she couldn't go to church, she couldn't go to the bridge club. Not like Roz Lerner, who goes to the bridge club. And, but you know, my mother was a driver. My mother was like very American. She was mobile, she was motion to me. And you know, this loss of the driving was the first little death, and it was a very emotional thing because I was this little kid who was growing up clearly to be very strange, and my parents, I was an only child, and the little town I lived in did not have a kindergarten yet. It was 520 people, didn't have a kindergarten. And my parents decided that they were going to pay tuition and send me 12 miles away to the town where they had the kindergarten, and the thing that had happened was my mother would take me halfway every day to the county line where I would meet the school bus to go to kindergarten. And my mother was never on time, and you know, she just had that trouble, and she would stand in front of the bathroom mirror early in the morning, and she would like play with her hair and like smoke a little cigarette. I would be standing at the door with my, you know, like Beatles lunchbox, and you know, I'd try, mother, come on, you know, so she would be like, we pay tuition, which in her mind meant we could go whenever we wanted to. And so I was just like, I think I'll just eat my lunch now. But at a certain point, she would just grab my hand and act like I was the one who was slowing us down. And we would have the experience. She would back out of that driveway and floor that gas, and it'd be like, is that a cat? Let's hit it. And we would be flying down the highway and listening to KXOK St. Louis, Johnny Rabbit DJ. Downtown, the Righteous Brothers, you know, this diamond ring. This diamond ring doesn't shine for me anymore. And my mother and I would sing along in our blue Impala, 1966, coupe. And that, I wrote, I don't know why. I just decided that I was going to write that down. And after years of wanting to write a book and trying to write a book, but I didn't have anything to write about, I didn't know, without my actually participating, the book started itself. And it started out that I would just, I was just writing, I was writing what happened to me and my mother, just in the now, you know, it was like me taking care of my mother. And then Betsy Lerner, who's my agent, who's sitting back there, read it, and she said, we don't know who this person is, who's taking care of your mother. So I had to put that, I started putting that in. And the background, George's background, and it became clearly a book at that point about communication. It was about not just, you know, Alzheimer's or taking it, it was about what happened when a woman who was a Depression-era woman who was not necessarily able to communicate about things the way we are now. It's sort of the long-term impact of a certain kind of non-communication on herself and her son, their relationship. And so it was a book about communication, and then my mother got cancer. And I went through that thing, which is like, oh my God, this is what I have feared all my life. And this is what I didn't want, and this is what I didn't want to do. And I don't really know that I can see somebody through in this way. But I did. And so I wrote that last section about her having cancer. And in my mind, what happened then was that the book was complete, and it became a book that was about, a person who was self-absorbed, living for himself on his own in New York, who comes back here and makes this journey where he, learns about being for someone else besides himself. There are a good many people on Goodreads who do not understand this. There are people who seem to think there's some sort of competition between George and Betty for space. But it's not like that. It's not, this is not a book. I always say that, when I first started to write this book, I realized that all the books out there were about saintly mothers taking care of, or saintly daughters taking care of saintly women. And I wanted to do something much quirkier. And then I realized this woman came over to our house, and she is somebody that hadn't seen us together for 30 years. And she said, "You all are so funny together." And I decided that we could be kind of a comedy team, kind of a quirky comedy team. And that would give the tone, that would give the movie, the book, a tone that was different than the kind of, more sentimental kinds of books that we could, I saw this book as the independent film. Will Schwabe has a book out about his mother called The End of Your Life Book Club. I always saw him as the big studio release, and I was the quirky independent film. I'm going to read you a little bit of something that I wrote after the book was finished. This isn't in the book, so if you want this, you're going to have to pay a little more. My mother is sitting in front of a mirror at the hairdresser's on the suburban outskirts of St. Louis, peering at her reflection as if she just cannot fathom what on earth became of the woman she used to see there. Someone is almost missing. She is almost missing. She senses it. We sense it. It chills us. But we are silent about what has happened. Maybe if I can change her hair, we can bring her back a little. Maybe if she can look in the mirror and see someone she remembers, she will feel a little more comfortable in her skin. It's the little things. That's what taking care of someone is to me. The little things that for a moment or two hook her back to life or bring a sliver of light to the eyes. If I were to make a list of suggestions for caretakers, it would be all about little things, treats and surprises and special foods and presents on dark days. Come back home, I want to whisper into my mother's ears, because she seems so far away all of a sudden. In the background, Katy Perry sings Teenage Dream. Today at the salon, Helen, who does my mother's color, picks up my mother's mood and says, "Don't worry, babe. We're gonna do you up. We're gonna take this shit to a new level." Betty's 92, she has that expression. She sometimes gets now a certain hard, unseeing stare she never had in the old days before the losses, driving, the piano, the bridge club, the ladies who once called. Before the dementia and the struggle to remember the names and places, and before the cancer and the dry skin from the radiation. when things were more normal in our lives. My mother's state of mind inflicts its burden on everything around us now. It colors our world completely. The winter has been gray, the color of the low fog drifting in the Missouri River bottoms. The heat in this house is never right, but most often it is too hot. There are so many things that will forever summon up this era of our lives for me. The dry air pressing on my face in our quiet house. The moisturizer that is hell to administer as she cannot bear the pressure of my fingers on her skin. The cinnamon rolls she eats every morning. The old sandals by her bed that she insists on wearing. Even today, in the parking lot outside the hair salon, I have to lift her through the patches of slush, and every time she screams out. Now and again, there is still a flash of smile or an amused look that signals the arrival of the woman who used to be here. But today her eyes are glassy, and I don't want to look at them because they make me feel that I don't know her anymore. More disturbing is the sense that she doesn't know her anymore. Most disturbing is the sense that the woman in the mirror in this hair salon is the last person in the world my mother wants to see. The sight of this woman can sometimes almost make her cry. I wonder what would happen if we dyed her hair some shade it has never been. Red, blue, like Katy Perry's. But that fantasy always leads to the next thought. What if she didn't recognize herself at all? I wonder if it will be like that sometime in the near future. I have been away at New York, I've been away from New York, living at home in our little town for more than 3 years now, because I do not want my mother to be alone with all the things she is feeling as her self drifts off. I don't want to put her in a place that will make her worse instead of better. I don't want her to be lonely. Dementia is not treatable, but one can scrub away at the edges of it, lifting the depression and the terrible anxiety she carries. The anxiety of knowing she's drifting away on her little boat towards some far-off, unnameable spot. Getting well is nothing I can imagine. I just hope that the cancer, lymphoma, held at bay by light radiation, will come together with the dementia in some civilized place where she can find a peace. My goal now is just a few happy hours for her every day. This is what I hang on to, the task of finding one space every day where we can find a little refuge from the inevitable. Little things, little comforts. I am always looking for new ones. There are the medicines that lift her a little, but I always say that 2 Bloody Marys help her more than anything prescribed. There are also the weekly viewings of Dirty Dancing. I've had the time of my life. I sing to her sometimes, sitting on the side of the bed. There are the peppermint patties left under the pillow and the CD from Phantom of the Opera, which I play in the car on the way to the difficult doctor's appointments. These are the things that spell survival in our lives. On very special days, there are our trips to the hairdresser. They lift her up a little, though they are epic journeys now, made difficult by the struggle to get her ready in the morning, the battle to get her to the bathroom at the truck stop midway to the city. We take the dog along, and every few minutes she turns toward the back seat to ask, well, what are you doing? We live in a tiny town located 125 miles away from the St. Louis suburb, Frontenac, where she used to drive in and shop at Saks. We don't go to stores anymore, but she still enjoys looking at the fashionably dressed women at the hair salon. Watching her watch them here in this place, located in this expensive neighborhood, I try not to see her longing. If, when assessing their lives, she starts to feel down, I make something up to cheer her. That woman with the diamond ring, you see her? She wanted to know where you got your sweater. She told me it was the prettiest sweater she's ever seen. Really? My mother asked. Yes, I say. She says she wishes she had your coloring so she could wear a sweater of that shade. She also likes your bracelets. Yes, my mother said. I paid good money for these bracelets. Mostly, At home, I have no one to talk to. I spend hours on Facebook chatting with people whom my mother calls my imaginary friends. Sometimes I get angry, sometimes dealing with an older parent, it is possible to get a little testy. It is very guilt-inducing. He or she can't help it that they're driving you a little crazy. You don't want to be mad at the person you love, so you come up with little games to take the pressure off. For example, you can pretend you are parenting someone else's parent. For example, you can pretend your mother is, say, Cher. When she is peeved at breakfast because her eggs are scrambled, not fried, you can say, this is the way you always liked them in Vegas when you played the main room at Caesars. This tends to throw a rogue element into the interaction. In the period of confusion, she will often eat the eggs. My mother is talking to Helen now about one of the books she's reading, The Secret Confessions of Ava Gardner. It's the filthiest book I have ever read. Would you like to borrow it? I can bring it next time. I wonder if we'll ever be here again. When Ava goes to bed with a man, Betty says, she says they are in the feathers. Who'd she get in the feathers with? Helen wants to know. Frank Sinatra. He was hateful. But I think Ava had a pretty good time. Already my mother is more cheerful. Maybe it is the feel of Helen's fingers on her scalp, or the warm water, or the shampoo, or just having someone a little different to talk to, who isn't me or a doctor. When I return from the bathroom and the coffee place next door, she is under the dryer, her small head floating like a little planet under a black bonnet. She smiles a little and slaps me on the arm as I pass, just a little piece of healthy mischief. Betty has always been obsessed with her appearance, but particularly her hair. Its styles and shades through the decades might make a cosmetology textbook, possibly a history of American coiffure. So many years, so many Bettys. Watching her sitting there, I think back on all the others, worrying about who the next one will be. But I have to keep up her mood. I must sustain this little patch of cheerfulness that we have found. I bend over to whisper. Later, we will go to Baskin Robbins for a lemon custard. You try to keep the boat in calm waters, whatever it takes. You look fabulous, I tell her, as Helen combs her hair out, and she studies the mirror closely, seeing for an instant a woman who seems more familiar. I wonder if we ever get enough of the people we really love. Do you want to take some questions, or should I ramble on a little bit?
Ramble on.
If anyone would like to ask any questions, please come up to the microphone so that the back of the room will be able to hear.
Oh, come on, it's your turn.
Can I just say it from here?
Yeah.
I thought your book was one of the funniest and most tender books that I've ever read, and I think what you just read just now, I think, shows that, and it was a very special relationship, and you did a miracle.
Well, I think one of the things that the book is about is the fact that, the person who gets the most is the helper, not the helpee. Also the things that, the things we think are going to kill us, to do make us stronger. Unless they do kill us. Sir?
At what point did you decide, hey, I've got something here, and I want to put down this story about myself and my mother? Do you remember that?
I think it was when the woman said, you're funny together. Because, you know, that kind of crystallized something in my mind. That and writing that scene about her. And when I wrote that, then I thought of other things to write about. And I didn't really, I always thought that, I was telling them earlier, my new friends from the library, that I always thought you had to work really, really hard if you wrote a book. You had to get up at 3 a.m. and sit there with your candle or something and work until 6 o'clock and be miserable as possible. That's the way I was raised. But because of my mother, I would just write. I would get up, like a few hours before she got up, and I would write for 2 or 3 hours, and I would only write, it was like, I would just write a little piece, I would write a little episode or something down, something that happened, and then I would deal with her, and I would walk the dog, and I would do wash or make a terrible, mess somewhere, but I was always thinking about it, and I would go back and forth, and it was like there was an ease, and so the ease and the fact that material kept coming to me in my head that told me, it's like if it keeps coming, you feel like you should just kind of follow it, and so that's what I did. Also, I really needed the money.
How long did it take you to put the book together?
I think it took me about a year to write a draft and a year to revise. I think that was about what it was. Yeah. Hi. Hello.
Hello. Bettyville brought back to me a lot of memories. My beautiful husband, who's no longer here, came from St. Charles, Missouri. So the people you talked about were so many of the people that I met, that are probably still living there, but their warmth, their graciousness, it was a different world for somebody who grew up in New York, and they would just look at me and say, "For my land." Janet Filling, did you really live your whole life in New York City? And they were just wonderful. So for me, it was extra special. Thank you.
Well, thank you for seeing them. It's like one of the things that I encounter sometimes is the sense that, it's the Beverly Hillbillies over there. It's like that, and I think that it's a hard problem that we're dealing with right now. Somebody else, hi.
Do you think this will be made into a movie, and if so, who would you choose to play you?
I would choose Bill. Because he's thin. It was optioned for a movie, for a television show, and it's with Shirley MacLaine and Matthew Broderick. And the last thing I've heard, that my mother had supernatural powers. I don't know what I have. expect it to come out right around the time of my funeral. Hi there.
Can you talk a little bit about the dog?
Can I talk about the dog? I can. I love the dog. The dog is mine. I am so nuts about the dog, and I think people are worried about me. They always have been. But I'm nuts for the dog. I just love the dog, and the dog. I have a high bed because when I came to Missouri, all the closets were like really full, because my mother had a lot of shit. And so I had to buy, and I just had these terrible little beds that my feet hung over. So finally, I bought this bed, and it was a trundle bed, it has drawers under it, and so it's really high. And I'm like, every time it's really kind of hard to get up. But the dog just leaps up, and he thinks it's his bed. So he, it's like he puts his whole body right next to my body. I think, oh, he loves me so much. But I realized that in the middle of the night, it's like he has scooted me over because he wants the middle. And several times I have almost fallen out of the bed because of the dog. So you think he's sweet, but he's probably going to kill me. That's probably what's going to happen. Or maybe I'll just be deformed, or something. I don't know what. But he looks innocent, but he's not. Somebody else had one. Hi.
Are you still living in Missouri, or are you back in New York City?
Oddly enough, I am still living in Missouri most of the time in that house, and I'm trying to find something else to write. To the trepidation of most people, but I'm kind of hoping that I'll come out, with a serious but non-terminal disease that you could be funny about. Anyone? Hi.
You mentioned that she didn't read the book. Did she know there was a book?
Oh yeah. She did. Huh?
How did you function with all of that?
Well, the first thing, when the book was first sold, I said, we were driving, and I said that I had written this book, and she kind of peered at me. She knew that there was something that she would probably not like about it. And finally she said, you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. But then I would have these readings, I had these local readings, and she would come to the readings, and she hadn't read the book, but I would read these parts to her, parts that I thought would be okay and that would make her happy. And all these people we knew would come to the readings, and so it turned out to be this wonderful thing for her. It's like these reunions for her to see people whom she hadn't seen, and it kind of distracted her from kind of asking too many questions about some of the other things in the book. And I actually think by the time she died, she thought she'd written the book. There was somebody over here. Hi.
I was just curious about, you stated that you joined the ranks of the permanently dry-eyed with your mom, and I didn't know if that was broken, or if that was an exaggeration.
No, it's true, I don't cry. I really don't. I tried to cry, and I didn't cry when she died. And I just, it's the Woody Allen line, I don't cry, I grow a tumor.
Then you talked about your father. I thought he was a wonderful person.
He was a wonderful person. He was big, and he was very warm, and he was funny. And I will tell you a story about my father. This is a story. It's like every time you finish a book, then your best stories come to you. And I was this little kid, and my father worked at the lumber yard, and about a block away was the bank. And at that point, all the merchants at noon, at the end of the day, they would take their cash to the bank in these little green bags. And the woman who was the head teller at the bank was very, very voluptuous. And she had a major upper story. And from the behind, it was quite a spectacle. And she raced out of the door. My father and I were walking alone. She raced out of the door of the grocery store. And she was doing a bump and grind like nobody I've ever seen. And my father, carrying his green, like he races up and he slaps her on the rear end with this green bag. And she turns around and she says, "George." And he said, "I was just trying to slow the damn thing down. I was just trying to calm the damn thing down." So that was my father. Hi. Hello there.
I was very impressed with what I thought was the love that you had shown for your father in the book. That he was so understanding with, I remember there was one day you were coming on the train and he was so happy to see you that he put his arms around you and just hugged you.
He was very physically. Maybe people who are sort of opposite wind up marrying, because my mother was not like a hugger, and my father was a hugger. People always thought my father was Italian. Hi.
I'm just curious, what was your first memory?
My first memory is sitting in a red wagon in a little sunsuit, which I would like to have a copy of now. You know, with the kind of sun, and my cousins, being around my cousins, but you know, my parents. I'll tell you, a memory that I have is that I was actually in the book. Read this little piece. Talk amongst yourselves. This is actually a good way to cut. Many times in my life, I have felt adrift and worried, screwed up, lost. When these moments start to shake me up, I remember coming home from St. Louis in our old green station wagon, lying in the back, watching the lights on the highway signs, surrounded by bags of my mother's dresses, with my fingers blackened from the hard licorice drops my father procured on every visit to Stixbury and Fuller, where they had a candy counter then, stocked with everything. Sometimes I rode in the front seat between my parents, and I would wake up after what seemed only moments of travel to find us driving into the driveway of the house in Madison. Mind your own business, I used to say to my mother, "You are my business," she said to me.
Two things. I hope you realize that any of us who are aging parents are going to give this to our children to say, "You see, you should be doing it."
Give them several copies. If you give them, say, 10, you're probably more likely, they will probably do it.
That was the first thing. And the second thing is, the book reads as if it was this journal, you just happened to be keeping at night, you know, and you put in the day's events and things you just happened to think about, as if you just sort of, this was going along. And it doesn't, I'm sure, wasn't how it was, but you made it seem as if it was just sort of memories coming back to you day by day, but probably a little harder than that.
Yeah, I always manage to do things at make people unaware of the fact that I've labored over that. Yeah, it was kind of like that. And somebody I know who's an editor who knows me really well and the way I work, because I tend to really be a micro sentence editor, and she said, just let it go. Do not over edit, do not over tinker. Let it be natural, let it flow, let it have air in it. This was not a natural thing for me, but I tried to do. I reached the point in my life where I actually do try to do what people say. Which means I'm probably near death.
So when you write memoir, how do you choose the secrets you want to tell? And like,
You have to tell something that makes the reader feel that you trust them enough to give them something that is, private. John Didion says that if you are going to write if you're going to write about yourself, you better give them something. And so you may have, say, you have 10 embarrassing things that you don't like to talk about in your life, though I have like 75. But you choose somewhere in the middle. It's like you don't tell the worst, but you don't tell, you tell something that, you kind of go as far as you can. And also the narrative determines. Like there's stuff about drugs that I put in because I really wanted to show some things that happened around my mother at the time I was in rehab. And so I put that in because, it's like you put in stuff that's connected to stuff that you really don't want to lose. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the stuff that you don't want to lose usually that has something attached to it that you're uncomfortable with. But you're such a ham that you'll sacrifice your own, whatever, in order to get this other piece. Is that clear? Probably not. Hi.
Hi, you very touchingly mentioned little Georges that are going to need libraries. As a result of your book, has anybody come and shared with you their own experience of growing up and being aware of being different or gay in the Midwest?
I've had it all. I've been in like 23 cities. I have heard everything. From, every old queen who has ever sat around the bar at Marie's Crisis has told me their story, and every older woman. And so, yeah, I've heard some stuff. And it's really nice usually. It's really nice. Some of it makes me a little uncomfortable because you have to you have to really pretend most of the time that you're with people who haven't read your book because it's too embarrassing to think that they've read it, because you have all this stuff in it that you would rather not have them. So you have to just pretend you haven't read it. They haven't read it. And usually they haven't.
and then the title is so perfect. Where did that come from?
I was looking for a title. I have to, say it was out of my brilliance, but this crazy writer that I know named Nancy Collins would call me up every once in a while to see how I was doing. And one time she said, after I sort of finished one draft of the book, she was like, "How are things in Bettyville?" And I was like, "No." I mean, that's the way it is with titles. You have to listen for titles. You have to be put on your device when you listen, because it's really hard to write or sit down and write a title. You, sir?
When you wrote the book, who were you intending on? What age and what person were you looking for as your reader? Who was your audience? And did you achieve getting that audience, or did someone else fall into play?
I don't know. I don't really know who's doing what with this out there. I'm just hoping they paid retail. And I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what audience I got. I don't know, but I think it's, I know it's more women than men, and so that's kind of what I know. I don't, it's interesting that people that pop up. The funny thing is when, like, people who I would never expect in my town or in my school would pop, like this guy who was the basketball star. When I was 6 years old, I thought he was hot, even then. But I was like 6 years old, and he was 18, and he came to a reading. And so these people that you have in your mind as somebody you admire, when they come to the reading or whatever, it's like you're like 6 years old. You're 7 years old, you're 6. And those have been really fun. And then there are the people who hate you. And still do. Hi, did you have something? Didn't you have your hand up?
I'm hearing you, Garrison Keeler.
Yeah.
What?
Do you hear me?
People have said that. I wish I did. Oh, hi there. Blue sweater.
In New York City, and working, did you ever write anything about your mother then? Or had you ever thought about writing about your mom before?
There was this time when my mother, it was the craziest my mother was, and I knew that ever was. And I knew she had been, my father was really sick, and my mother had been penned up. And it was when she called me up, she went to this bridge party, and she saw this woman with a bracelet that she had gotten in Istanbul. And my mother wanted me to write the American ambassador in Istanbul. And she was going to get this woman to send her a photograph of the bracelet. I used that in the book, and I actually wrote that down at the time. Hi, back to you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for writing this honest book, and it's just very important too. And thank you also for making it funny. And I love the part about the deer. I laughed for about 10 minutes over that deer. That was hilarious.
Yeah, people talk about hitting a deer all the time in the Midwest, but they don't tell you what to do with it after you hit it. I mean, like, there's a special number? I don't know. Because you don't leave it in the road because somebody else laid it in.
Hi, I thought you were so sweet and so caring. When that one thing that really struck me was when you heated up the towel in the dryer to wrap around Betty's feet. Did you ever, were you always that sweet and that nice all the time? Did you ever lose it?
I'm just incredible. I lost it. I mean, I made it in the book. I lost it in the book. There was a time when somebody gave me this clipping, and it was a really like ancient old clipping, and it was something I really wanted to read, and they had it in a Ziploc bag. So my mother, this is a woman who would like use a Kleenex and throw it on the floor. She would use, like she'd throw napkins. She'd throw, I mean, wherever she went, newspapers. It was like this thing. So what does she do? She decides, oh, I'm going to throw away the clipping in this moment of incredible neatness. I thought I was going to break her on that one. So we had our moments, but you try, it's like, the thing about it is that they may have dementia, but they can still be a little manipulative. Like, I've done that, but I'm crazy. So,
That's close to my question. How much of Betty's behavior was due to her dementia? How much was she really nuts?
I don't know. It's like, awful lot of it was due to her dementia, but she never lost herself. herself was there most of the time. Where are they going? What are their names?
I was rooting for you as a younger guy, and then now. And my question is, have you found love? You deserve to find love.
Well, I don't think it's, you know, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be my thing. I have my dog. I have my dog.
I liked what you said about kindness. You said it was one of the most important virtues, and when it was extended to you, it meant the world to you. That's the one I remember.
I really, you know, I'm like a Tennessee man. I'm Blanche Dubois. I depend on the kindness of strangers. I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and I admire kindness. I've been through a lot of bad behavior on my part, and kindness is what you remember. And you all have to say when
Hi, can you speak about pros and cons of being an only child?
I thought you were going to say, can you speak about Prozac? I think that you have a special relationship with your parents, and I think it's a little bit like maybe, you know, I always tell people that, I mean, with 3 people, somebody gets left out a lot of times. There's a lot of 2 people sort of choosing sides, and the 3rd person can be a little left out. And the kid can kind of try to compensate for that. I think as a only child, you have a kind of homing device for when your parents are, you know, having problems. Maybe you're more tuned to it. The thing that I always found really hard as an only child was the fact that if you went to a place where other children were, and you know, other children would come with their brothers and sisters, and so they didn't have to enter by themselves. And I always had to enter by myself, and I didn't like that. And I think, you know, there are pros and cons. I would like to have, you know, as you get older, gosh, you would certainly like to have I have 2 cousins that are kind of sister-like.
What are your thoughts on Missouri versus New York as you think about your future?
Well, if you look at my Facebook page, you're going to find out that I'm probably going to be run out of Missouri really soon. Because I've had some pretty definite opinions about recent events. And they have real definite opinions about recent events. And we don't always jive